Hey everybody, it's Doc Green, the Road Scholar, coming back at you. Well, it seems there's a few more problems with the port that old President Joe Biden forgot to mention. Even on these, first of all, there was a yard already trying to do 24-hour runs before Joe Biden went out there and talked them into it. But one of the main problems with doing 24 hours is, I guess at nighttime, in the evening hours, after a certain time, you have to set an appointment to go into these yards. And in doing so, you have to tell them what kind of chassis you're bringing in, what kind of box you're bringing in, what kind of empty container you're bringing in. And that way they can line it up with the kind that needs to go out. However, if they don't need your kind, then you don't get the appointment. They don't have this problem during the day, only at night. So I don't understand why. It doesn't make sense. I mean, if you can run during the day like you do, and you're supposed to be 24 hours, that means you're supposed to be running at night just like you do during the day. So why these drivers have to set appointments, I don't know. And why they can't take in certain containers over another container, I don't know. But that's the situation. Another part of the problem is a lot of our chassis out there on the West Coast seem to have containers on them still. Now, they still have a lot of chassis built up and everything, so them saying they don't have enough chassis, that wasn't correct. But they can't get these other chassis into the yard because they have empty containers on them. And the docks, the ports are not accepting these empty containers. So they have to take the container off in order to get the chassis. When they come into the yard, they got a box on them, a container. And so they go into the port, they take the box off, and then it goes over here, gets another one on, and pulls out. So they say, we're not taking anymore because we're so backed up, we can't take any empty boxes. Which doesn't make sense, because as you unload this ship, you're supposed to be putting empties back onto the ship so it can pull out and go. So that should not create a problem. Unless we're not putting empties back on those ships. Which means there's going to be a lot larger supply chain issue in a few months than we have right now if we're not sending empty containers back over into Asia to pick up more product. But for some reason, they're not accepting these boxes into the yard. I don't know, they're out of room. But you have to, if you want the chassis, you have to take the empties off the chassis. I mean, it's common sense, people. And then you put them on the ships that you just unloaded, so they can head on back to China and get reloaded. Same process over there. For some reason, America seems to be the only problem, or only country with this much of a major problem on trying to get containers moved across the United States, out of the ports and into the ports and everything. So I just wanted to mention that, come back on here, give a little update on some of the other issues they're having out there besides the shortage on truckers. By the way, there is no shortage on truckers in California. That's been proven false by many people on YouTube. Many truckers out there showing lines and lines and lines of truckers and lining up to go into the ports and come out of the ports. Other drivers, there's hundreds of them over at the truck stops around these ports waiting to get in there, waiting for the roads to clear up enough so they get in line to wait longer to get into the port. So a shortage of drivers is not the problem. I said not in California. Other places, it's becoming a problem. So, you know, we do need more truck drivers. I know in the DFW area, we definitely need more drayage drivers working the rail hubs. But California, no, not a problem. And as merchandise increases coming out to Texas and the rest of the United States, of course, I'm very familiar with the drayage in Texas and how it works. As more and more merchandise comes out this way, or more product comes this way on trains, then yes, our shortage will increase. But here's another reason they may have a shortage for drivers in California. California has the strictest EPA rules. And pretty soon, I think it's by year 2026, they want semis to have no emissions. No emissions, which means they're all going to have to be electric. How are they going to pull that one off for the next 4 years? I'm dying to see that. But that's what they got down with it. That's what they said. They wrote it into their raw law and everything. So, and by the year 2046, they will have no cars at all in California with emissions. So that means everything out there will be electric. Maybe in 20 years, I guess. But I know in the next 4 years, you're not going to get all the semis out there with no emissions. That's just not going to happen. So they have the strongest emission controls already. in the country. Now they want to make it even stricter for trucks to get out there. And on top of that, they passed a law that you cannot have a truck more than 10 years old and run in California. So if y'all don't have a truck shortage already, y'all will. I mean, that's common sense. You guys will have a trucker shortage if you don't have one already. If you claiming you have one already, why are you making it worse? Why didn't Joe Biden talk to his buddy Governor Newsom over there and say, hey, let's ease up on this at least till I get reelected. You know, help me win the election again, or help Vice President Kamala to win the election again before we implement these rules. Not what they did. They didn't talk to anyone about trying to ease up the restrictions on the hours of service because they don't need more drivers. They don't ease up on the EPA restrictions because they really don't need more drivers. California's full of drivers. So I just want to come on here and update that a little bit. And I hate to keep beating this dead horse about the supply chain, but it seems to be everybody talking about it. Just yesterday, even a week after the Joe Biden administration mentioned this, that we're going to go 24% of the ports. Yesterday, the ports out in California hit an all-time record high of containers on their yards. It just keeps getting worse and worse for them out there, and they can't figure out how to get it straightened out. I can. It doesn't take a genius. And our transportation secretary, this genius, is on a maternity leave for the last 2 months during this crisis, and Joe Biden's sitting there thanking him on national television like he's done something. We appreciate the hard work and leadership. I can't even pronounce his name, but he hasn't done anything. He hadn't even been there to do anything the last couple of months. He left. He's on maternity leave. Okay. Enough of the stupidity. Enough of the government trying to blame truck drivers. Enough of the government trying to blame everybody except who it needs to blame, which is the unions for not opening these ports up 24 hours a day a lot sooner, themselves for shutting their state down, for not having enough employees going to work and everything. But no, they want to blame everybody else but themselves. Remember that come election time. And I know my channel seems like it's moving more into a political state, but right now the country is in dire need of a lot of products, everything that politics affects truckers directly. And I know a lot of you probably don't want to hear about it or anything over and over and over, but I feel like you need to understand, especially if you're not in California, a lot of you truck drivers need to understand that everything they're telling you, especially if you're voting Democrat, understand what you're voting for. Understand the lies that these guys are telling us out here. And don't get me wrong, I mean, the Republicans, they put some whoppers out there before too, and I put it out there when they do. Matter of fact, a lot of people, will be happy to jump against the Republicans. But for some reason, when the Democrats are doing the same thing or worse, no one wants to say anything. Anyway, my next video, I want to talk about the Democratic cult and why I think they're a cult, and I'll throw out my proof, and you guys can leave your comments and suggestions below. By the way, please like my channel, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification, leave a comment. It helps it go up in the rankings and everything, and it helps get the word out. If you don't like the content, I understand you're not liking or subscribing, but if you do, guys, please hit it, share it on your other social media. Even if no one watches, just post it on there. Give them a chance to. Anyway, I'm out. Take it easy.